Well, hello, Stand Up Michigan friends and followers. This is Tammy Clark, and I'm coming at you live. I know I did not put a teaser out there. I know you did not know this was coming. This was very unplanned. It's very last minute because we have some great news, breaking news from the state of North Dakota. So I just wanted to take the opportunity with some of my new friends and family from North Dakota, and obviously my sister girl here, Kristen Megan. And we wanted to just come on and share the story of North Dakota, the breaking news out of North Dakota, and introduce you to your North Dakota family and freedom fighters, Pastor Jeff Hoverson, who is also a state rep, and Carrie Lynn. I just call her Carrie Lynn. Carrie Lynn, is it Baller? You have to tell me your last name. Bowler. Okay. I just know you as Carrie Lynn.
No.
You're my girl, Carrie Lynn.
So
Yeah,
Carrie Lynn
there's a whole story behind that. So
yeah. Well, and Carrie is a board member with Health Freedom North Dakota, and she's one of the freedom fighters who reached out to Kristen and I with Representative Hoverson. And really, there's the Health Freedom mugs. We came home with some swag. So I really just want to let Pastor and Representative Hoverson say hello, introduce himself, and then Carrie say hello as well. And then we're going to get into this amazing story and breaking news. So Pastor Jeff Hoverson, Representative Hoverson, take it away.
All right. Hello, and it's very good to be here. And just thank you, Kristen. We're praying for you after watching your video too. And about a half hour before the final vote, I was on the phone with Tammy, and she said, "Jeff, I'm going to call on the prayer warriors that I have tapped into. And you must have a lot of prayer warriors over there because it is truly an amazing story of God's hand with the mask freedom bill."
Yes. Yes. And I'm going to explain all of that in detail in just a minute. People know we got a win in North Dakota, but they do not know about the governor's veto. And they do not know that we had to go through this all over again. And that we have been praying you guys through this. So Carrie, say hello to everybody and just take a couple minutes to introduce yourself. And then we're going to get into the story.
I'm Carrie Roller, and I'm part of Health Freedom North Dakota, and very blessed to be a part of this freedom fighting group. I'm so thankful that God put them in my path. I'm a mom of 3 kids. My oldest is a senior, my youngest is 12, and my middle guy's birthday today. He just turned 15. So
happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, we're a homeschool family, and I've never really been involved in politics up until about a year ago. And I just kind of jumped in head first this year in December, showing up at the Capitol. And it's crazy to see how far we have come and how hard we fought. And to see God's hand in all of this is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yes, and you are really the hostess with the mostest. When Kristen and I got to North Dakota, when we finally made it there, really tired, still very airsick and exhausted. It was Carrie who met us and picked us up and brought us to the hotel and was just really amazing. So Carrie, I feel you, girl. I'm a mom of 3 and I'm an accidental activist myself. A year ago, I could not have imagined myself in this position. No way in my wildest dreams. So thank you for doing what you're doing. Thank you for answering the call and stepping up and being a great hostess and a great advocate and taking, responsibility for your family and your freedoms. And Kristen, you want to say anything?
Yeah. Well, most of the people of Michigan know how Tammy and I met up, but most people know I've spent 9 years on active duty. And I kind of launched the second I separated in 2010. I launched myself into the freedom movement and then transitioned into the health freedom movement. And I'm kind of known as the loudmouth liberty enforcer. It doesn't matter how many platforms I'm kicked off of. No one can silence me. So I just have to say that, if I could just ask the government, if you could just stop attacking aspects of our freedoms that impact my profession, maybe I could get a break. Because that seems to be the problem for the past 10 years, is that everything the government's been doing in violation of our health freedoms, whether it's vaccines or environmental issues or masks. I mean, it's all encompassed within my profession, and I could use a break, but I'll keep
On the side,
squawking.
I can't
I
move.
know, I
Gosh.
know, it's crazy. So, okay, so let's start with the story. You guys have heard bits and pieces, but where we stopped really sort of publicly reporting, I'm going to ask Representative Hoverson to step in and explain some things because you guys know our followers, my followers, Kristen's followers, Stand Up Michigan followers, they know that we traveled to North Dakota to testify in front of the Senate to try to get this this House Bill 1323 passed. And Representative Hoverson, can you please explain to everybody what this bill was? What is it that we were trying to get passed, and why did you need us to come out there and help you and support you with this?
Yeah, thank you. And by the way, I'd be remiss not to say thanks to my wonderful wife, Joanne, and 6 kids and first grandbaby last
Oh my
week.
God.
And
Oh my
my
gosh,
church.
congratulations.
Thank you. And my church, yeah, and kids getting married. And
I know.
I don't know where to start, Tammy, because there's so many. I mean, let me just jump in where you suggested there. We brought you guys in, which actually came on the heels of a lot of loss for liberty. I have a good friend, Jeff Magrum, a representative with me, sits right behind me, and we bet at Longhorn Staghorn. I said, Liberty's going to lose. Conservative values are going to lose this session. I can tell. And he goes, no, Jeff, no. So we bet a stake. I just told him tonight I owe you 2 steaks. There was a lot of loss. There's a lot of vaccine loss, COVID loss. We had Del Bigtree here. Carrie helped with that as well. And then from all these head snappers, the quickest way to say this is my first head snapper was when the Mask Freedom Bill 1323 passed in the House. It was a shock to me because I was going in 0 for 9 at that point. And I really thought, and it barely passed. Then, and Del came here, and he's the one who introduced me to you 2 ladies.
Yeah.
And it was just really neat. It was a godsend. I know we prayed a lot. My homeschool group prayed a lot, and that just kept growing. Well, when you ladies came out, you really helped not only bring some expert witness to what a lot of us civilians, so to speak, in the battle, I feel like we brought some real soldiers in when we brought you guys, because it was really a fight, a spiritual battle, a political battle, and physically, we had to get not only it to pass the Senate, it went to the political subcommittee, and it came out of there a strong do not pass. And
after our testimony, which was
after
really
your
crazy,
testimony,
yeah.
after literally hundreds of emails from these groups like Health Freedom, Conservative Advocates, North Dakota Freedom, Real COVID Facts. I mean, all these groups that were coming in to the scene, and they showed up, and they were at our Capitol, and they were in the balcony. And a whole nother story, which I probably shouldn't get into at this point, was just your plane journey out here. And maybe you've shared that already. Just how many bombs were thrown. I mean, who gets denied by Delta on an airplane? And
right?
And then Kirsten and then the 2 little angels that came in to help get you here. And we had to have backup people. And I could go on and on and on and on. This was the toughest political battle I've ever had. So anyway, back to the head shakers, where it passed the Senate, and coming out of there, the committee with a 6-1 do not pass, which, by the way, the House also overturned a do not pass, but it was too short. It was 2 votes short of to be veto proof. And to speed it up to today, like I said, I talked to Tammy and I said, we got to pray for 1 vote. And after I hung up, I said, oh, actually we need 2. And I one of the guys that flipped to a yes was the chair of the committee.
Yes.
That I don't know if you
I
know
remember.
Yes, I remember him well.
I don't know if you know this, but
to him.
he was one I talked to this morning and asked him point blank, and he said, "I'm a no, Jeff. I'm a no." Something happened between this morning and 5 o'clock today. We know what it was. It was
Yes, we do.
prayer. It was our prayer chain, your prayer chain. It was God's hand, and
Yes.
I'd still like to know who got through, what changed, or maybe he just was going to surprise us. I don't know. The leaders in both houses. Now, keep in mind, this is after the veto now. So we needed 2/3 in both chambers.
Right.
And
Which you didn't
so
have. Which
no,
you didn't have,
and,
right? So we had to really pray about this.
yeah, and I mean the people. Let me tell you, I'm not as much on social media as my wife, but she says when the governor vetoed last night, the social media lit up, and
I would imagine.
it was not pretty.
Okay, so I want to rewind a minute. Because people don't, let's rewind to when Kristen and I came in and testified. And then the committee actually recommended 6-1 not to pass this bill.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just like defeated, shocked. And I remember that evening. So Kristen and I testified on a Thursday morning. That evening, it was the Thursday before Easter. And I remember because I thought, boy, how are we going to get these people to do what they need to do on Easter weekend? But I knew we needed to. So that evening, you had the Freedom Health Gala that Kristen and I went to, and it was lovely. Packed the place out. You had legislators there, you had some senators there. It was packed, and Kristen and I were on stage, and I'll never forget. The Lord just spoke to me going into this that the feeling was defeat. There was a real deflated feeling in there, and yet this is supposed to be a gala, and we're here to be with you guys. And so the very first thing that we talked about was when you feel like that you are up against the impossible, because now this committee recommended that the Senate not pass the bill, even though the House had, and you were up against, this was an uphill battle in the House, and you got it passed in the House. So I remember the Lord very clearly speaking to me to encourage you when it seems like all is lost, when it seems like it's the impossible battle, that is the perfect opportunity for the Lord to show up. Mm-hmm. So you guys need to do your part and show up and trust that he's going to bless the work of your hands. Trust that he's going to bless. Mm-hmm. And so I remember rallying the troops and saying to you guys, you have got to get on the steps of the Capitol. You've got to rally like you've never rallied before. And you had several groups there. It wasn't just Carrie's group. There were several different groups there. And I remember saying, 7 different groups, encouraging them. The leaders of all these groups have got to get together and unite. You've got to strategize, you've got to organize, and you've got to get all of your people there and let these government officials, the senators, hear your voice. Because remember, and this is what I told you guys from stage, when the people fear the government, there's tyranny. But when the government fears the people, there's liberty. And I remember saying, at the risk of sounding like a domestic terrorist, you guys have got to make the government afraid of you. You've got to make them afraid to vote no against this bill. Yeah. So, and I mean a healthy respect. I don't mean afraid that you're going to harm them. I mean, you've got to give them the fear of the people, right? And you did it. You guys did it. While we were on stage, Kristen and I were still talking on stage. One of you, Carrie, maybe it was you, said, well, we got the steps reserved for Monday morning. And you guys showed up.
Bob Wheeler.
Bob Wheeler went to Scott Hennon, and we're thankful for our local outlets too. Scott Hennon, Ladies of Another View, Apologies with Becker.
Yes.
And later, Charlie Kirk came in perfect timing. He was here Monday night, and he gave a shout out and a packed crowd of 800. So God's hand was in all of it. But you're right. When you called for that rally, Tammy, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just want to say after you did that and Bob Wheeler came and set that up for Monday, that was 3 days away, and the phone calls went out, and we had for North Dakota, it was a very large rally in front of that steps. It was very well organized. It was respectful. And after that, they went in to sit in the to talk. They filled that balcony, and that was the first day, again, God's hand. That was the first day of the whole session that they allowed people to not have to wear a mask in the chamber.
So I
And-
just want to share with the
Nice.
people of Michigan, not to interrupt you, guys, did you hear what they did? They moved the rally into the Senate. They literally went in. And so what they did was they made these senators a little afraid not to pass this bill. And what did they do? What did the senators do after that?
Well,
They sent it back, right, to committee.
let's see here. I'm getting mixed up in the order. Yeah, there was some funny business going along all the way through, and I still don't understand it all. But it got held out twice, and they were going to send it back to the committee because the committee had, and unfortunately, I don't want to be bashing too much, but they pulled some funny stuff too. We had some amendments that they basically didn't even look at them. They were on video. They threw them right in the garbage can. 3 of them, I should just say 3. And well, that got out, and because these are on video. And when I got it, I sent it to the leadership. I sent it to the whole Senate. But yeah, we're probably mixing up the timeline a little bit, but that's because there's so many things. Keep in mind too that this bill in the Senate, it did pass, but it also got amended quite a bit too. And I think we have to note that we had to amend it. We had to agree. Well, I mean, it wasn't our choice, but the Senate can amend on the floor. And thankfully they did, because we had it all government agencies, including schools. That's really what we wanted. Yeah. However, it got amended to just be the governor, but our state level, but it also added in public unelected officials. So in a way, it was really good because we put the prohibition on those two at the state level. So it left it up to now the political subs and the schools and the local people have to just work on their own region.
Right. They left it into the hands, of the local people.
And they're doing it.
Right.
Exactly. Monday night, we're going to help here in Bismarck at a school board meeting.
That's so awesome. So then I get word. Now, here's where the next step. Okay, so it was an uphill battle. Got it passed in the House. Kristen and I come in and testify. Totally uphill battle. Got it passed in the Senate, right? Then the governor has to sign it. The governor, by the way, is a Republican governor.
Really?
And by the way, he's activated. Right. So he was supposed to sign it, which has been crazy because how long has it been? And why did he just veto yesterday? Why has it been dragging out so long? We've been sitting here holding our breath this whole time. What is the governor going to do? And just yesterday we got word that he vetoed it. So now we're back to square one.
Right.
And we have to go all the way through the House again and the Senate, and we've got to get enough votes to override the veto. So again, here we go. And it's just been this nail biter with you guys praying through this whole thing. But I heard that this morning, the House voted to override the veto. And then, Jeff, you called me 15 minutes before the Senate was supposed to go into session. And I said, I got to let you go because I got to call my prayer people. I have a lot of intercessors and they're really prayer warriors. And so I started sending out the message. I said, guys, we've got 10 minutes. Pray like you've never prayed. I was marching around my house. I was praying for eyes to be open, for ears to hear. I was rebuking deceiving spirits and lying spirits. And I was just praying for the Lord through the power of the Holy Spirit to give 2 senators. I asked the Lord for 2. I said, Lord, I'm asking in Jesus' name for 2 senators to vote the way we need them to vote, to pass this for the people of North Dakota who've really shown up and who've done it. And then I got the word from Carrie, we got 2.
And you know who they were? This is another head snapper.
Yes.
The chair of the committee.
Yes.
Flipped, and the majority leader of the Senate.
My gosh.
So Carrie, you were waving your hand around. Do you know what? Do you know what it was, other than like the hands of God?
I do.
No, I'd like to know. I mean, it was prayer because
it was definitely prayer.
The chair told me this morning that he was a no, and he between this morning and today he was a yes. It could be political maneuvering. It could have been pressure. It could have been. Maybe God just grabbed their hand and. Maybe right now they go, what did I just do?
Gary, did you threaten some kneecaps or what happened?
You know what? It wasn't me. Actually, one of our board members, Tara Dukart, contacted him today and said, I am in support of 1323, and I'm really hoping that you will be a green vote today. And he's like, he did tell her that he was a no vote. But he said to her, he said, can you give me 2 reasons why I should vote yes? And she said, well, I can give you many more reasons than 2, but one, she went scientific based. Masks are, we have spoken with experts in that department, and masks are proven to not be effective. And her second one was a personal story of her own child. And he said, you may have just flipped my vote.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you,
Wow.
Tara Dukart.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that is so
Huge,
amazing.
huge for Tara. I mean,
And I know
yeah.
Tara. Tara was there. We met Tara. She's an
Mhm.
amazing,
Oh,
sweet
yeah.
woman and advocate. And so, the moral of this story, the reason I wanted you guys to jump on and join me live is because I want the people of not only the state of North Dakota, but the state of Michigan. We have been dealing with so many, discouraging issues with our governor and our secretary of state.
Roadblocks.
And yeah, it's just like one thing after another because we have the evil trifecta. We've got the governor, the secretary of state, and the attorney general. And so we just feel like we can't get anywhere. And we have made great gains, but they're just constantly, it's like one step forward, 2 steps back. But the people have really stood up and have really spoken up and have really done the work that they need to do. So I want them to be encouraged that it's not for nothing. So,
Right.
Kara, what would you tell people? I mean, you guys showed up like you've never showed up before, and you got it done, and you made your voices heard. So what would you say? I mean, like you said, I've never been involved. I'm a mom of 3. And, what would you tell the average American, the average North Dakotan or Michigander who's just frustrated and maybe has never been politically involved in before? What would you encourage them with?
It is all about showing up, getting involved in a group of people, like-minded, encouraging each other, prayer. I mean, that is first and foremost. And we've seen God's hand in all of this, and showing up, even if you don't know what you're doing, there's going to be somebody else there that does. They will grab you under their wing and take you and show you. And I mean, that's kind of what I did. And when I remember first showing up, I'm like, Alexis, I have no idea what I'm doing. I guess I'll just fake it until I make it. And now, just a couple months later, I have people texting me, calling me. So what's the next step? How do we do this? What's the process for this? So there's always someone that's going to be willing to show up and take you under their wing and help you along the way. It is very scary. I'm not going to lie. I remember walking in for the first time. I'm like, I don't even know where to go, but
Yeah.
that and building that relationship with your representatives. We may not agree on everything. There are some representatives that, yes, we do agree on everything, but there are going to be some that you don't, and you're going to have people on the opposite side, and you cannot be disrespectful to them. That is never going to solve anything. We're never going to get anywhere. So just ask questions and get a feel for where they're at. And that's what's going to open up that communication line and them being able to listen to you, emailing them, calling them. I know, I think towards the end here, this last week, we found, that really calling them is really probably more effective than emails, because they will get
Mhm.
so many emails, a lot of form emails, and a lot of them just click delete, 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 delete.
Yeah, they can get buried, right?
Yep,
Easily.
which is unfortunate, So we found
Yeah.
that calling is probably your best bet, but don't ever give up. Put in all the hard work. I probably look tired because I am. I went to bed at 1 o'clock this morning, and I was up at 5 minutes to 5, preparing to visit with legislators about the vaccine passport that we are trying to pound in quickly before session is over. I'll sleep when I'm dead, I guess. I
I
have
say the
kids.
same thing.
We
I have
definitely
3
That's
kids.
my phrase.
Yeah,
as-
I have 3
as we're-
kids, and I
As
have
we're
3
sitting
kids,
here-
and I am not willing to give up. I can't. And this morning I was sitting at the table working on stuff, and I had like yesterday was a really rough day. And I'm also running for vice chair in our district, which is coming up this Saturday. So I've got all this piled on top of everything. And I was in a big pile of tears, and my kids just come and bear hugged me, and it flipped my day and made it even
Aw.
so much better. So yeah, it's
Well, when you texted me the good news and you said I'm bawling, I instantly started crying. I'm not much of a crier, but I started crying, and I just it's you people in North Dakota have impressed me so much
thank
because
you.
you're not finger pointing. There's not okay. So here in Michigan, we have a lot of the circular firing squad. Everybody's pointing and criticizing each other. You
Yeah.
guys in North Dakota focused all your efforts on one thing together. And I was
Yep.
so impressed at how you just showed up, you worked together, you got it done. And then we prayed, and the Lord blessed the work of your hands. And it was just remarkable, this story, even how the enemy tried to keep Kristen and I from showing up with it, the plane
Exactly.
ride. And I mean, it was just like he threw everything at us. And the one thing that I am just so appreciative for you guys is that you're humble, you're real, you're authentic. You don't have your own agendas going on. You're not holding your cards close to your chest. You just reached out to us. We've all prayed together and prayed through this. And the Lord honored that and showed up, and you guys got it done. And this is a national story. I mean, I'm just blown away at this story. And I really wanted you guys to come on and share your story because it's your story. This is your state. This is, you took it back. And you should be so proud of that. And I think that all of the states, every state in the United States, really needs to look at North Dakota and learn a lesson. And so I just really wanted to say thank you for, reaching out to us, for your confidence in us, the confidence that you've shown in Kristen and I, and the hospitality that you showed us when we were there, and then your partnership with us. We're not just friends, we're now family. And
Yes.
we are brothers and sisters in the Lord. And it's like we're just this one big team now. And I'm so proud of you guys. And I just have been praying for you and keeping in touch with you. And after today, I'm like, oh my gosh, there were tears for all of us. We needed that. We needed a win. And we need to come on and share with everybody that you can do it. But you have to remain humble, and you have to keep the egos at the door, and you have to stop criticizing and blaming each other, calling everybody else out for all these things. What I saw in North Dakota was nothing but unity, just total unity and humility. And so I just think this is the most remarkable story, and it needs to go nationwide, and it will. So get ready, buckle up. You're going to start getting phone calls from people, but
It's exciting.
I just want
is.
to
It is.
my little one's going to bed, and I know that we're doing this live, but hey, this is real life. This
Hey,
is
Lou.
family. Did you want to share a positive message real quick?
Praise God and don't wear masks.
Oh,
Hey,
you are
God, and don't
so
wear masks.
sweet.
All right,
Oh, I
sweetie.
love
Get your
it.
shoes,
From the
okay?
mouths of babes. What more do we need to say?
Bye.
So what I wanted to share, first off, I was looking at my phone because I just had someone from North Dakota call me. It's probably a local. Can you close the door,
Probably
please?
Tara, or
It's probably it might have been one of the radio shows that we've done.
yeah.
Oh,
What I wanted to go back and address are a couple of things with this story. The first one is when we were testifying in front of the subcommittee, it was evident that the opposition seemed to get more time on the floor.
Oh, yeah,
And
for sure.
second to that was not to sit here and toot our own horns, but we truly were the only two credentialed experts. And we had very minimal questions. And I'm not going to say they were bad questions. It's just we were a wealth of knowledge, and I was really expecting more. And we were armed and we were ready to answer those questions. So I'm just glad that, I'm going to say that these people probably went off and maybe looked into some of the things we said. So I also want to go back to you, Carrie, talking about Tara telling her own story. If anyone watched the testimony, it's uncomfortable, but I shared my story of why I can't wear a mask, and I explained what Delta did to me, and that's why I'm suing them. Update, I am suing them still.
yay.
Yes.
We are praying for that.
The wheels are moving on that one. But the real thing is, I know it is so hard for people to think like nobody will care about my story. Sometimes, whether people are professionals in different work environments or politicians, the point is sometimes you have to, when we're giving safety training, I always try to resonate with people instead of just saying OSHA says you must do this. For example, I worked in electrical field for a while doing industrial hygiene, and we would bring in a burn victim who didn't wear their proper PPE. And those things resonate with people more. When you bring the home piece and you put a name or face to a story that can really make people look at their own family and go, oh my gosh, that could happen to me. Or I wonder if someone in my family's gone through this and hasn't voiced it. So never think that your voice or your story doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if people make fun of you. I've been made fun of publicly for my reasons for not being able to wear a mask. But it is your story to tell, and you will never know what it can do. And if this is part of the reason that it happened, then, Tara should be very proud of herself for not being afraid to make that phone call and tell a different side of the story, because that's the biggest message throughout this whole thing is everyone thinks that when we put the call for everyone to peacefully call and email the senators, it was to make sure people knew you can't just look to your neighbor and go, oh, they'll call, I don't need to call. Don't ever think that. It takes a whopping maybe 3 to 5 minutes of your time, and you've got to do it. And your voice goes so far. And it's that little brush fire that turns into a wildflower of liberty. Never doubt your own individual contribution and what it can do to freedom.
You're right.
Right. We
You're
say
right.
that at Stand Up Michigan, the power of one can lead to the power of many. And it does. It just takes one person to stand up and dig their heels in and get stubborn enough to refuse to submit. And that courage is contagious.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, Jeff, do you have anything in closing? I mean, you're both a pastor and a state rep. I love the North Dakota model, by the way. You guys meet once you're citizen-led legislature, so you meet once every other year for 4 months, correct?
Right. Mm-hmm.
I just think that is so powerful and amazing. Do you have anything in closing about all of this, or encouragement for the people, or anything that you would like to share?
Yeah, just I thought of that just as a real practical thing to send off my opinion. First of all, I mean that this movement in North Dakota anyway, and I think nationwide, is really being led by conservative women. And I'm so thankful for these mothers. And if I counted just many, but I do think the battle will get worse personally. And when the men show up, there will be a lot less mercy. And look out, because it will be because they are protecting their families, as they should. We are supposed to protect women and children. And this battle is going to, when it starts affecting the church more, look out. Because when the preachers start showing up, I wish they were here more. But if this battle affects the church more, they will show up. So my thing is, when I originally thought of putting in this bill, all I did was say, God, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm in the fight. I'm here. I am a legislator. And his message is the same one I'd like to pass on, is just start swinging.
Yeah.
You're in the fight. Just start swinging. Wherever your spot is, just start swinging and see what God does.
That's exactly right. And I love that. And you know that there have been several prophecies that have come out that this is the year of the woman. But I love what you said, that when the men show up, watch out, because you're exactly right. I have a husband behind the scenes who's not as gracious. He's not as nice. He's not as sweet. He's ticked off. And when he shows up, it's going to be a whole different ballgame, because he's not going to be giving hugs. Tammy's all huggy. I love you all. It's more like he's ticked. He's ticked because of what's happening. And you're right. You're absolutely right. When the men show up, it's going to be a whole different ballgame. And we do know the last chapter. We do know where this is going. But we also need, the Bible says, to stand, and having done everything you can to stand. And so we stand and we occupy. The Bible also says we are to occupy until his return. So we stand and we hold the ground that we have, and we occupy until his return. But it may get ugly. I'm not saying it's not going to get ugly. So I totally agree with you, Jeff. It's just, that was a really good word. So guys, hang in there. Kristen, anything you want to say before we go?
I just want to say that this is just great. I know I've been going through some kind of turmoil with everything going on, one crazy story after another. I actually had to, speaking of men, I had to talk my husband down the other day to not go up to the school that discriminated against me, if anyone's seen that video. I just think, I always tell people, there's a way to stand up for your rights. And while the Declaration of Independence gives us a right to stand up with violence, you have a right to overthrow a government in any way, shape, or form. I'm not for violence. I'm not for the initiation of violence. but it's amazing when you can see the hurdles that we've all gone through, how we network together. And we just need to show people how on an administrative level, you can still flex your rights. You can put pressure on people kindly through education, telling your stories. You don't have to burn anything down. You don't have to threaten people. You just show up, you make the call, be heard. You have to remember that the government is supposed to work for us. We do not work for them, and we should be able to fire them at will.
Yes.
That's right.
So just remember that.
That's right. Well, listen, I appreciate all of you. I feel like you guys in North Dakota, Carrie and Jeff, I feel like you're my new family.
Yes.
And I love that I can just
Absolutely.
text you guys and say, hey, how's it going? What's the latest? Jeff, I love that you call me 15 minutes before the Senate's going to vote on something. And then I can say, thanks for the heads up. I'm going to go tell my prayer team. I mean, this is family. This is the family of God
Absolutely.
across this nation connecting. And I just so appreciate you. And I appreciate being able to send you a text. Hey, you want to do a live real quick? And then you jump on with me. Thank you so much. I just don't think you realize how encouraging that you are to Michiganders, to all the North Dakotans. We are going to share this via email on all of our platforms, and it's going to go out to hundreds of thousands of people across this United States. And like I have been saying, as I've been sharing your story, that we need a win in North Dakota. This win in North Dakota is not just a win for the people in your state, it's a win for the United States, for the
Yes.
people in every state, because it's encouraging and it's empowering. And you know what? Courage is contagious. And what you guys have done is very encouraging to people. So way to go. You guys earned it. You did it. You showed up, and then God blessed the work of your hands and he blessed your voice. So power to you, power to the people. And you guys have a great night. We will certainly be following up and doing more together, I'm sure. But keep in touch. We'll keep you in our prayers. And we love you both. Thank you for joining Kristen and I. And we'll be in touch soon. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night.
Yeah.
You too. Thank
Thanks.
you.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys. All right. Good night.